Right, so this is the first question. Now, as usual, I'm going to give you all guys a chance to try the question, and then I'm going to jump in afterwards to work it out. Good luck. You know, this one, you're not going to be able to send the answers on the chat, but I would like you all to at least tell me what the trick is in this particular question. There's a small trick in this question. You see, when you're trying to solve a simultaneous equations using matrices, you have to make sure the x and y is on one side of the equal sign, and the constant is the item without any x and y or any variables attached to it. That has to be on the other side of the equal sign. You all notice something here? This 3x is on the correct side. The minus 5y is on the correct side. But this 10, this minus 10, you have to throw him across first to become positive 10. Also, you have to make sure the x's come first in both equations, then the y, and then the constants on the other side. So right now, everything is lined up properly. And when they ask you to convert it to the form ax is equal to b, they do not want you to solve the matrix, the simultaneous equations. What they want you to do is just take the simultaneous equations and put it in matrix form. That is all they want you to do. So to express it in the form ax is equal to b, you'll have one big pair of brackets, a small one, an equal sign, and another small one. And all you have to do is extract the numbers now and put it in the brackets. Don't forget the signs. If a value is negative, you have to make sure to put the negative. So 3, 2, minus 5, 3. X comes before y in both equations. So you put the x on top, the y underneath, and the two values on this side is positive 10 and 13. How much people had that? This is A. This is supposed to be X, and this is supposed to be matrix B. How much of you all had it correct on your end with no mistakes? Like you had the signs on everything to go with it. In the next part of the question, they want you to solve the simultaneous equations, but the examiner says you must use a matrix method. All right, so remember I already had you kind of started off from the previous question when you took the matrix and you put it in, when you had the simultaneous equations and you put it in matrices form, the ax equal to b, this is what you had. Use your matrix method now to solve for x and y. Keep in mind, even in matrices, if you're trying to solve for x and y, you want x and y on one side, and then you have to throw everyone else on the other side. Good luck, and feel free to send your answers for x and y. Right, so remember, if you're trying to solve for x and y, you have to take this matrix and throw it across on the other side. But you have to be careful. When you're throwing across a matrix, it can only jump across exactly one matrix. So that means when you throw it across, it will hit here and fall in this space over here. But when you throw across a matrix, remember, it will turn into its opposite form, the inverse. So when you're finding when you're placing the matrix in this position, make sure it's the inverse you are putting there. Right, so let's clear some space here. So you're only going to have x and y on this side, and on the other side, well, you'll have the 10 and the 13. And in this huge space here, you're supposed to have the inverse. Right, so the first thing we have to do when we're finding the inverse is to find the determinant. So to find the determinant, you multiply this diagonal first. So it's 3 by 3, which is 9. You must put a minus sign immediately after Then you multiply the other diagonal. Now it so happens 2 multiplied by -5 is -10. So because the two minus signs touch, well, you're going to get a positive. So the determinant is 19. How much people had that? The determinant as 19. All right. So the determinant, you always throw it underneath a 1, and then you begin to do what? Switch around the numbers. The 3 and the 3 switch positions, but it's not going to make much of a difference. The other diagonal do not move. The numbers just become the opposite. So you're going to get -2 and +5. All you have to do now is multiply out this scenario. And my advice is, you see the blue item, the 1 on 19, save that for last. You concentrate on multiplying now these two items. So as usual, the 13 will swing up to the top. So you all should know the drill by now, right? The 10 and the 13 walk across and they get photocopied and whatnot, right? So I'm not going to go through this too much, right? You multiply each pair, you add the 2 pairs on top and the 2 pairs underneath. Let's see what you will get on top and what you will get underneath when you multiply out the matrices. Let's see. On top, I'm getting 95, and underneath, I am getting 19. Does that look correct? Now, when you do that, you have to divide. Number is 1 on 19 waiting on the outside. So you're multiplying every one here by 1 on 19, which is the same thing as doing what? Dividing every one by 19. And I believe when you do that, you will get 5 on 1. So xy is 5, 1. X is 5, y is 1. If you made any mistakes in the multiplication part and you did not get 95 and 19, check back your working. I'm sure it's just a simple sign error. Let me know when you finally rectify it. Right, so here's a real strange question. How to multiply these two matrices. Could you all confirm if it's even possible to do this question, or am I trying to trick you all, right? Let's test to see if these two things are possible. The first matrix is a 2 by 2. That one is pretty easy. The other one, is this a 2 by 3 or is this a 3 by 2? What type of matrix is that? It's a 2 by 3. 2 rows, 3 columns. 2 by 3. So it is possible, and you're probably wondering why, right? Right? Because the two inner numbers are the same. If you look at it, take a look at it, guys, because a lot of people said it was not possible, right? That's all right. Just taking care of a message here. Right. Right. Oh, sorry about that. Right. So what I mean by the inner numbers, right? If you look at it, these two values, the inner numbers, are the same. And once they are the same, it's okay to do the question. The outer numbers tells us the size of our answer. So our answer will be what? A 2 by 3 matrix, right? So a 2 by 3 matrix will look like this. It has 2 rows and 3 columns, right? But it will look just like this because this here is a 2 by 3 matrix. So our answer will have 6 answers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And to work this out, it's going to be it's going to be long, but it's going to be very, very simple. Here's what you need to do for this particular question, right? You're going to take the first matrix, right, which is -2, 4, 3, 1, and then you're going to multiply it by the first column, which is 1, 4. When you work that out, you will get two answers. That will be these two answers. Then you're going to take the same matrix, minus 2, 3, 4, 1, and multiply by the second column, which is 0, minus 1. And you will get another two answers. That will be these two guys. And then I think you all catch on by now. You're going to take the same matrix and multiply by the last column, which is 3, 1. And you're going to get two more answers. That's going to be this two answers here. All right. So good luck. Get all 6 answers and, you'll compare them to mine. The first one, right? I mean, the first one is pretty easy, right? I am getting 10 and 8. Double check that one. Now, a lot of people did not get the 10 and 8. Just check your signs. Right. Right. So Kimberly, I think you're one of them. They just check it back now. Show us a simple sign error. The other one is supposed to be minus 3 and minus 1, minus 3 and minus 1. If I made a mistake, let me know, because it's late in the evening. It's possible to make mistakes. And for the last one, I am getting minus 3 and 13 when I multiply. Anybody else disagrees with the answers? I saw the majority of people come up with these answers. Right? So look for your errors, right? And if you see anything, just double check the work. And like I said, it's going to be a simple sign error. All right, so this is the last question. I believe so. Let's make sure. Right, yeah. This vectors question is the last question. I made it a little harder than normal, right? So if we can get through this question and understand it, you could, rest assured you could get out almost any vectors question. I've given everyone a 10 minutes head start on this question. Draw a diagram, but don't draw it too small because you're going to have to put a lot of work in on the diagram. So make it like 1/3 of the page. And as you go along, right, don't send all 4 answers at the end. When you do part A, send the answer for part A. When you're doing part B and you get the answer, send the answer for part B one time. All right, don't wait till the end, right? Some trouble. Remember, they said PX is 2A. That's given in the diagram. They also set it up here. Now they said X is the midpoint, which means this distance and this distance is the same. So that means since X is the midpoint, from X to Q is another 2A, right? Making the whole thing 4A, because 2A plus another 2A in that direction is positive 4A. All right, so that's a little jump start to help you with the first part. QR. QR means we're standing at Q and we want to go to R. So the plan is to go from Q to R, right? We have to go from Q to P and P to R. So you're going to go Q to P and then P to R. Now I have to put my little arrows on top here in the exam to get full marks in the exam. To go from Q to P, we are going against the arrows. So it will not be positive 4A, it will be minus 4A. Because when you go against the arrows, we make the sign the opposite. And PR, we're going with the arrow. So we're not going to change the signs there. So we're going to leave it as minus 3B. So the final answer for QR is minus 4A minus 3B. Right now, it's a good idea to update your diagram. So from Q to R, that's this line here. The value is minus 4A minus 3B, right? So update your diagram so you have a visual on it. All right. Now, we have the entire value from Q to R, but Q to Z is not the whole line, it's just a portion of the line. And look, they have it here. You're going to use this. They said that QZ is 2/3 of QR, but that's perfect because don't we have the value of QR? We just got the value of QR from part A. So we have 2/3 and QR, right? QR is, well, that's the value in pink here, minus 4A minus 3B. Now, we can't leave the answer looking like that. That's a bad idea, right? Well, we should multiply everyone inside here by 2/3. And if we do that, we'll get minus 8 on 3 minus 2B. Does that look correct? If we multiply everyone inside here by 2/3, you could use a fractions button to multiply it out, right? So I'm putting QZ, that's only from here to here, as minus 8 on 3A minus 2B. Right, I'm double checking my working. Yeah, it seems about correct. So from Q to Z, right? Well, I don't want to complicate the diagram, so I'll just keep the answer for QZ up there. All right, so XY, right? Remember the advice I gave, right? We're going to try to find XR first. So let's try to find XR. XR, if it's standing at X and you want to go to R, it have two ways. Huh? You could go from X to Q and Q to R, or X to P and P to R. Anyone is going to give you the same answer, you know. I'm going to choose the underneath route. So I'm just going to go from X to P and then from where? P to R. Remember, when you go against the arrow, you have to make the signs the opposite. XP, that's against the arrow. So that's minus 2A. And PR, well, he is with the arrow. So you keep the signs exactly the same. So we have XR. To find XY, which is what the examiner is asking us for, all we have to do is take the value for XR, which is minus 2A minus 3B, and multiply it by 2/5, because that's the relationship the examiner gave us. So over here, you're going to get 2/5 multiplied by minus 2, that's minus 4/5. So minus 4/5 A, obviously you put it in decimals, that's 0.8. And this one here is 2/5 by 3, that's 1.2B, or 6 on 5. Does that look correct, guys? Minus 4/5 A minus 6 on 5B. You can put 1.2B, huh? Right? Anyone, you can put fractions or decimals. Well, you still have one more part to do, right? Let me just draw in what they want you to find for part D. YZ. How can you go from Y to Z, right? There are plenty different ways. Here's the way I'm going to advise. Go from Y to X, X to Q, and Q to Z. Go backwards, upwards, and then forward, right? Because the reason I'm saying that now, because you already have the value of XY. Remember, we just found the value of XY. Make sure if you're going against the arrow, change the signs. Remember to go from Y to Z. I said we're going to go backwards. So we're going to go from Y to X, X to Q, and then from where? Q to Z. Right? Now we have all of these values in front of us, right? YX, we're going against the arrow. So you see these green values, we have to make them the opposite. So it's positive 4/5 A, positive 6 on 5B. From X to Q, that's pretty easy. That's just 2A, and it's with the arrow, so we don't have to change our thing. So that's good news also. Q to Z. Now, Q to Z, we have it on the board over here. Well, the screen, sorry. Remember, this minus 4A minus 3B is for the entire line. We only need from Q to Z, which is this blue value here. And we don't have to change a thing because we're going in the direction of QZ. So it's minus 8 on 3A minus 2B. So all you have to do now is add up all the A's and add up all the B's. You can just use your fractions button on your calculator, and you will have that done in no time. Let me know if you got that as your final answer on the screen here. If you disagree, let me know, and I will double check my working. All right, so that's the end of this particular mock exam. That's the end.